Hey, so I want to talk to you guys this morning about something that's kind of close to my heart here lately. And before I get started, I'd like to have the ushers come forward. They're going to grab a 3x5 index card. They're going to make sure everybody has one. We have a jar of pins, and if you need a pin, I need to make sure you have that too. You guys can go now. Come on now. Yes, here comes the ushers. Let's ush. There you go. Yeah, the cards are in the very front. One over here and one over here. So if you guys can, I need to make sure everybody has one. And so hopefully there's not more than 100 people in here. Or you might have to tear out a page of something. I don't know. So I want to make sure everybody gets one of those. We've been doing the 21 days of prayer. And it's been pretty amazing. Pretty cool stuff happening. And I'll share a little bit more about that. But last night, I was at Fish Fest with my family. They helped out with the Destiny Rescue. My wife and my oldest daughter, Haley, helped out with the Destiny Rescue booth. And I was talking to the guy that is in charge of that booth, Scott Stoutenberg. He's from this area. And he was telling me that in Korea, he was talking to a friend of his, in Korea, they do a prayer meeting that starts at 7 p.m., and they usually end at 7 a.m. And he said, the church is just blowing up in Korea. I'm like, that is awesome. Imagine what would happen if that happened all over the world. We're here in America. It's like, dude, 7 a.m. in the morning from 7 p.m. at night. That just sounds crazy. People, oh, that's great. Yeah, but for us to actually do it, to put that in action, man, would that be something else. I was just thrown back and just like, that is awesome. And I just wanted to share a couple things about prayer. When I got hired at one of the churches I worked at in town, not that there's been a bunch or anything, but in my job description, it actually said, Dale will pray an hour a day for the ministry. And some of the other supervisors were like, why would you put that in there? That's just expected as a Christian, right? And as a pastor, you just expect that that's going to happen. Well, the problem is when you just expect that that's going to happen, that's probably the first thing that goes. As Christians here, how many of us this is something that is easy for us to forget to do or put off? It's kind of like going to the gym. I'll go later. And the next thing you know, you're 500 pounds more than you were when you were in high school. Because I'll go later. And so you go down a slippery slope, and we just start to forsake these things that are so important. And so we've been praying for 2 weeks now. And down at the altar here, there's prayer requests. And some of we didn't necessarily have you write your names down, but we knew who you are, and so we wrote your family's name down. And so there's one of them down here that we have parents that are praying for lost kids, grandparents praying for lost kids, and we're praying for Hope, that she would no longer have addictions. And so every single day, there's been about 5 or so of us that come in here. We lay hands on every single one of these and pray over these families. And Kevin said I could share this, but this morning he said, hey, have you been praying for my job? Corey? Yeah, whatever. And so they're twins. It doesn't matter. We've been hanging out since they were in 8th grade. So Corey said, have you been praying for my job? And I said, no, but every morning I come in here at 6:45, and when I get to your card here, I pray over you, and I pray over your wife, and I pray over your children, and just pray that God would have his blessing on you guys, and that you would just see something cool and new this week, and that God would just move. And he said, well, I don't know what it is, but I got this job, and things have been going really good lately. He's like, I used to be super tired, and I just have some energy. I come home, and I'm ready to go, and it's like God's doing something. And I'm like, well, I've been praying for you, so there you have it. Hey, if you have stuff going on that's been happening, that God's been answering some of these prayers, I would love to hear these things. They're so encouraging, and they kind of kick a little boost in. And so we come in here, with our squirt guns, those of us that get here at 6:45, and we're like, all right, Satan, we're coming for you. And we're going to put the fire out with our little squirt guns. And so I'm just excited, you guys. And so today I wanted to talk to you about praying for those who need a lifesaver. And you are a lifesaver, okay? And so last week I mentioned the story of the dad looking for his lost son. Some of you might remember that. And where the dad was talking about he had 4 other kids and he's looking for his son and he's freaking out. Where'd my kid go? I got to find my kid, you know. And, we were at Fish Fest yesterday. There's they said 5,000 people there. And every now and again, Noah would take off and we're like, where'd Noah go? You know, and you're like, we got to find him. And if I had Hayden coming up to me in the midst of that going, hey, Dad, I really want an elephant ear right now. It's like, dude, seriously, this is not a good time. Okay, we need to find Noah. Yes, it's peaceful right now because he's not here, but we need to find him because we love him and we want to stick around a little bit. Right? And so God's saying, hey, I have some kids out there and I need you to have my heart for my kids and I need you to go find my kids and bring my kids here. And I need you to have my heart, and I need you to partner with me, and I need you to be praying for them. So what I want you guys to do right now is you have the index card, and I want for you to do is think about somebody who is far from Jesus that you know, and I want you to write their name down. If they're already down here, that's awesome, but think of somebody else. Maybe you have more than one person. I don't know. If you don't know of anybody, you need to get out a little bit more. Seriously. Some of you guys know, might have heard of the Humleys. They were on America's Got Talent or something like that. Yeah. So I remember when Joshua was in 6th grade and he was in my youth group. And he would always come in and I'm like, do you share Jesus with anybody? And he's like, yeah, I'm homeschooled. I go to this church. I don't really know anybody that doesn't know Jesus. And I'm like, Josh, get out. Hang out with some pagan kids. Hang out on 3rd Street. Find some people that are heathens or something, And skate park, I don't know. Get out in the world and find somebody that doesn't know Jesus. And I'd tell him this over and over again. And so I think it was 7th grade one day. And he comes in and he goes, hey, Pastor Dale, guess what? I brought a heathen friend to youth group. I found somebody who doesn't know Jesus. And I'm like, well, good for you, man. And now he's like, the whole nation sees him on TV and they're able to just emulate Christ. It's so awesome. But anyways, write that name down. Okay? So as we went through this prayer time, there's a few things that we've learned. And the Church of the Highlands gave out some resources. And I was able to glean this from it. And I wanted to share it with you guys. And it's so key. And so I've been praying this through for people who don't know Jesus. And the first thing is this. And we're going to have this on the overhead so you can write notes. Is ask the Father to draw them to Jesus. Okay? So we're going to be praying for these people. We're going to ask the Father to draw them to Jesus. And God draws people to him. It's not something we can make happen out of our own efforts. So we need to be faithful in praying that the Father will draw those he placed on our hearts to Jesus. We need to be faithful in that thing. John 6:44 says, no one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them. So think about the people you know who are far from God and let your heart be open to God and anyone he may bring to your mind. And write that name down and focus on praying for them. And at the end of this, I want for each and every one of you to have one of these little lifesavers. And we're going to be doing something at the very end of this where you will come down. And if you need somebody to go down for you, you can hold your card up and they'll do it for you. But at the end of this, we're going to take and have all those cards that you're filling out right now. And we're going to put their names down. We're going to submit them to the altar this morning. And for the next 2 weeks, the next week, we're going to continually pray over these names. But we want you to take a lifesaver back. Not because you have bad breath. Okay? But we want you to hang on to this lifesaver, and it's a little wrapper. We want you to put it in your pocket or your purse or whatever. And every time you see it, it'll remind you to pray for that individual or individuals. Okay? So, and it tells us that we're to pray something like this for these people. And you guys, I'm going to pray, and you guys can agree with me as I pray. And we're praying for these names. And I hope you got some names down on those cards. And we're going to pray something like this. Father, I pray for the people around me. that you would supernaturally draw their hearts to you. And God, send your Holy Spirit to them and give them the desire to give their lives to you. Help them recognize their longing for more in life as a spiritual thirst only you can quench, and open their ears to hear your voice. The second thing in this is that we want to bind the spirit that blinds their minds. Okay? Bind the spirit that blinds their minds. We're going to pray for that. The truth can be right in front of some people, and they still can't see it because something is in the way, blocking their view of God, right? Some may have been hurt by the church, or others or even by their own family. Some may have been showed up and somebody said something at church that maybe just was stabbing comment, and they just went, I'm done. I'm never going back there. Or they see on TV where some religious guy gets taken out by the enemy, and they're like, I'm done. If you think about what happened to Joseph in the Bible, here's Joseph, and God spoke to him and said, hey, I got big plans for you. You're going to be doing some great stuff. And then what happens? His brothers sell him into slavery. I would think that he would be like, well, okay, I'm done. I'm out. God said I was going to be doing some awesome stuff. But no, that's not what he did. He started to minister to people even in jail. And he became a big poobah. And he was able to save his brothers and his family. But not everybody deals with these things, with family betrayal or anything like that. And so they're blind to God because of these things that have happened. 2 Corinthians 4:4 says, the small g, God, of this age has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. So we can pray against whatever's in their way so that they can see the light of God. And we can pray that they would see the truth without any obstacles or distractions interfering. So we're going to pray this now for these names that you have on your card right now. So if you would just agree with me here. Father, bind the evil spirits that are blinding the minds of people around me. In the name of Jesus, I pray that they would be able to see clearly, to recognize who you are, and to give their hearts to you. Remove all hindrances the enemy would use to distract them from your truth, and open their eyes, Lord, that they might see Jesus. It's pretty cool when that happens. We so many times I see on Facebook people's comments, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, God, will you just reveal to them your truth? Because they are obviously blinded by something that they just don't get it. And it's painful. Third thing here, pray that they may have a personal relationship with God. This is so key. A personal relationship with God. My relationship with God has actually gotten a little deeper since doing this prayer time. I busted out my journal that I got back in 2006. Yeah. When I'm sitting at the Trappist Abbey, I'd go there for a whole day and pray and journal. And I remember then just fighting with God then, going, come on, God, okay, youth ministry, give me what I got for the whole year. Come on, give me the stuff. Come on. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, the monks come in and do their thing in Latin. And then they leave and I'm like, all right, God, now give it to me. And then finally at the end of the day, I'm sitting there going, man, I'm getting nothing. I thought I was coming out here with a board meeting with Jesus and he's going to help fill up my calendar of everything I'm going to do. And he said, hey, Dale, shut your face. Why don't you shut up and know that I am God? And I went, oh, all right, I'll just worship you. How's that? Everything falls into place when you do that. It's amazing. But many people think that Christianity is just another religion, right? They only see God through the lens of the organization and institution of the church. And they may even feel frustrated, angry, and betrayed by people in churches they have encountered or by religious legalists and their hypocrisy. But God didn't come to build an organization. He came to have a relationship with his children. You know, they say that on Sundays after church is the worst tippers at restaurants. I've heard this. That's sad. We should be like doing the best at tipping. So that especially if it's like, oh, we're Christians, you come in with your Jesus shirt on that says something like, Jesus is my homeboy or whatever, and we go sporting our stuff, Team FCA, it's like they know you're a Christian and then you're like, I'm not tipping them. It's like, come on. So we just get like a black eye. Yesterday we're at this, at the concert, and I went to go get amazing Mexican food. And it's like, all they did is slap some food on a plate and hand it to me. It was overpriced to begin with. And it wasn't like stuff you'd get in Mexico. But, it was all right. But it has a thing on there to, like, tip. When you pay with your credit card, 15 is where it starts at, 18, 20, and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, sheesh, I'm already paying $8 for this sandwich thing. And, $8 for a burrito that's not like Tequila Grill by any means. And, but I'm like, but I'm a Christian. And I don't even know if these guys are believers. I don't want to walk away from here like them thinking those Christians are a bunch of losers, right? We represent. Romans 8:15 says, the spirit you received does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship. And by him we cry, Abba, Father. God wants his beloved sons and daughters to come home. And praying for the people to have a personal encounter with the living God makes a huge difference. And I can remember that when my mom was praying that my wife would somehow know that Jesus is real. That she would somehow have a personal encounter with Jesus. And she was just like, yeah, whatever. You pray all you want, but I'm not doing this thing. And sorry, honey, throwing you under the bus there. I'll buy you flowers. And and so she prayed that God would make himself so real. And we had a situation with one of our kids. And she was supposed to go to the doctor and have surgery. And we had a neighbor across the street that came over and said, this is a lie from the enemy. Your daughter's fine. She's not going to need surgery. And you're like, yeah, right. The next day is surgery day. She laid hands on her and prayed over our daughter. That was Hayden, wasn't it? That was Hannah. Yeah. I think the oldest one stabbed a Q-tip in her ear and busted her eardrum or something. And she was going to need she was helping. And, and so she laid hands on her and just prayed over her. And my wife's like, yeah, whatever. So the next morning she goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, the other ear. No, the other ear. Wrong ear. Wrong kid. You brought the wrong kid. This is the wrong kid. Maybe it's a different kid. You have, more than one kid. And no, she goes, I guess God did heal her, right? And then she came into church to prove me that church is stupid. And you're messing up our Sundays. Why are you going to church? Usually it's the woman starts going to church, and then the husband finally kicking and screaming and dragging through a sportsman show starts going to church or something. So she came to church to prove me wrong, and in the middle of the worship, God touched her. And she went, I now have a father. Okay? We want to pray for that. So we're going to pray this right now for those people. Father, I pray that people will understand how much you love them. Loose the spirit of adoption for the people around me so that they come into a meaningful relationship with you. Stir in their hearts a longing to come home, to hear your voice, and to see you welcoming them with open arms. Let them know you are always running to meet them and hold them close. So the next thing here is we're going to pray for believers to cross their paths. And that's literally what happened. We had people lived across the street that were radically living out their life for Jesus. Luckily, they had the gift of playing any instrument that could make sound. And they didn't have air conditioning. So summertime, their windows are wide open and they would be playing the lute or the piano or whatever. And you could hear it coming out of the house. And we thought they were Hispanic, but no, they're from Jordan where they're persecuted for Christianity. So when they get to America, they're like, we're going to celebrate this Jesus as loud as we can. And we're sitting across the street, didn't have air conditioning. And we could hear the worship coming out of their house going, I don't know what that is, man, but that's beautiful. Right? They kind of like bumped right into our path. This is twofold. We can pray for other Christians to influence the people around them positively, which, you guys have written down here, pray for my kid. And I don't know who they are, but I'm like, hey, God, send your people around them right now, that there would be encounters with them. And we can also have the look for opportunities to influence others positively ourselves. God's plan to reach people is worked through those who already know and love him. And Jesus asked us to pray for people to go into the world and be the salt and the light. We're supposed to go and do this as well. We're not supposed to just be here at church and just doing our thing, but we've got to get out there. And this is why really, my photography business pays for the chamber. But it's like, my wife wants me to work and make more money, but I don't care. I just want to go and hang out with people and maybe have a chance to tell them about Jesus. So I get there, I'm like, well, I'm Dale from Dale's Photography, which I hardly do a whole lot of anymore. But I'm like, I say that so that I can and there's other things I do. Come see me. and they'll talk to me, and then they will share stuff, and then I'm able to oh, I can pray for that, or let's meet for coffee. And it's all strategic. I don't care about making necessarily more money, but I want to reach souls for Jesus. And that's the thing. And I think that Beto went to Linfield College to work there just so he can prowl around and share Jesus with people. Secret agent man. I feel like singing that song right now. Yeah. He came to bring the good news of the gospel to all people, and his desire is that everyone would know and love him, for everyone. And Matthew 9:38 says, ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. Last night when I was talking to Scott Stoutenberg, he said there's a lady that has a ton of money. And she said, hey, I want to give this much money to Destiny Rescue. And he's like, whoa. She goes, if I give you all this money right now, could you go? And he said, literally, there was enough money to save, I don't want to lie, but it was like 100,000 or more girls. It was a lot of money. And she goes, so if I give you this, could you rescue that many girls right now? And he goes, we don't even have enough workers to do that. And she said, I'm glad you're honest with me. So I'm going to pay you guys so many thousand a month and go save girls. Unbelievable. Because we need more people to get on board and say, I'm going to go do that thing that Jesus called me to do and stop being afraid. And so I was blown away. I'm like, hey, sign me up. I'll go. I just need an AK-47. And just kidding. So as his spiritual farmers, that's us. We should be attuned to opportunities to plant spiritual seeds in the lives of the people we encounter each day. We may have no idea who has already been praying for them and culminating the impact of kind words, compassionate act, or loving attitude can have to draw someone to Christ. And it's sometimes that radical step out in faith to say something to someone you don't know, and it's scary sometimes. But sometimes we got to step out and do that thing. And I remember I was meeting with Jim Ramos, the guy that I do the Great Hunt for God with, and we were left Starbucks, and I'm walking out to the car, and I'm stopped, and I'm like, where did Jim go? And I'm standing, where is he at? Finally, 5 minutes later, he comes walking out of Starbucks. He goes, yeah, there's this couple that was in line, and I don't know. I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, it was like, you need to go pray for them. And I've never seen him do this. You're weird. What? He said, yeah, I'm standing there, and they said, it was like God saying, go pray for me. He walked over to this couple and said, I don't know who you are, but I feel like God told me to pray for you. And they were like, please do. This is what's going on in our life right now. he laid hands on him right in the line at Starbucks and prayed for him. I'm like, how awesome is that? Who knows what happened from it? But we did last night when we were at Fish Fest. We're watching. They have these guys walking around. They're the radical ones that probably hang out with Becca and Daniel and all their homies and Sarah. They look like you guys. And they were walking around and they were like looking for people. They were on the prowl, man. And they would find people and they're like, lady in a wheelchair. Oh, you're not safe. Yeah. They laid hands on her and they started praying over this lady. Next thing we know, we're looking around and here's this lady pushing her wheelchair around Fish Fest. How awesome is that? Go be the hands and feet of Jesus. So we're going to pray this. Father, I pray for the lost around me to meet believers who will influence them in a positive way. Lord, let my life shine in such a way that people want to know the God I serve. Allow others to see my genuine love and concern for them in all that I say and do. Let me be your hands and feet to serve them and let them know just how much you love them. And the last thing here, release the spirit of wisdom and revelation on them so they may know God better. It's that aha moment when it finally clicks. Did you get that one, Ella? Yeah, there you go. That aha moment, that most important moment to have this kind of revelation is when the lights come on spiritually. People need to see their own sin, see what Jesus did on the cross, and see that hope that comes from giving their life to God. When that light clicks and we get it and go, okay. And Ephesians 1:17 says, I keep asking that the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the glorious Father, may give you the spirit of wisdom and revelation so that you may know him better. And people, they definitely need wisdom. It's like the saying that common sense isn't that common anymore. We really need some wisdom, don't we? It's crazy, this world we live in. It's like, God, we need some wisdom. We all need more wisdom. And not just knowledge of spiritual things and insight into how spiritual realities directly, they need to know how they directly impact them. And so we can pray that this kind of supernatural revelation that only comes from God is something they see. Okay? So we're going to pray this last one here. And that is Father, I pray for the people around me to experience the spirit of wisdom and revelation. I pray that they would truly understand their spiritual condition and see what Jesus did for them on the cross. Help them to have the information and experiences needed to come to you so they can understand all you have for them. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have the band's going to come up. And we're going to play one last song. Yeah, right now is good. Yeah. See, they're like a serving size. A serving size is 4. I read that on there. So if you take more than one, we will not judge you. But they're going to come forward. And during this song, if you guys could bring those and drop them down here, I guarantee you these will be prayed for individually by name for God to have his way and do his work in them. And if you can't come forward because of physical reasons, then somebody can do that for you, okay? And we're just going to lay them down and say, Jesus, I'm bringing this person to your altar. Go get them. Show them your love and go get them. So, God, I just thank you so much for this time. God, I pray that you do something radical in us that causes us to go out and be your hands and feet. And during this time, God, I pray that you would receive each and every name. You would read that name, God, and say, that is my kid. That is who also I came and died for. And they have a plan, and we're going to help lift them up so that you would just get them, Lord. Amen.